Get officials and union officials met over the weekend at approximately 11 o'clock Sunday evening. Union officials ended negotiations and indicated that they would strike beginning at 12:01 a.m. Tuesday morning.
What is the sticking point or sticking points in this negotiations?
Get officials signed an agreement when negotiations started that we would not negotiate in public. So I'm not at liberty to discuss any of the components of the negotiations.
Can you say how far apart you are at this point, because you guys have been working on this?
I can say that Get officials and union officials are far apart at this point in time.
How long did you guys talk over the weekend? Was this just a couple-hour discussion, or was this through Friday all the way through Sunday, really trying to hammer this out?
They met Friday all day, and then Sunday from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Are there any other scheduled talks now beyond this, or is this why you guys are saying now it looks like there will be a strike?
There are no scheduled talks at this time. However, Get officials are ready to come back to the table at any time. It really is dependent on the union at this point.
Now, the union has issued a press release, and they have said that some of the sticking points are negotiation that they would transfer some part-time people to full-time people to get better wages and benefits, and also getting those full-time benefits up to comparable levels in other cities. They say it's much lower wages here than in comparable sized cities to Bakersfield. Can you comment on any of their claims at all as to why you can't negotiate at this point?
I really can't. What I can say is that Get administration has worked very hard to ensure that our expenses are in line with our revenues. That's really an issue. We have our projections for revenue are uncertain. You have to remember that the majority of our expenses are paid through state and federal taxes. Well, as we all know, the state and federal government are having problems, and so that makes it very difficult for us. What I can say is, due to Get administration, we have never seen layoffs here. We have never seen service reductions. And I believe if you look at other communities, that has happened, particularly in the last few years when tax revenues were down for everyone. So we have tried very hard to balance revenue and balance expenses, and we need to continue to do that. Obviously, if expenses exceed revenue, that does mean cutting service and laying off employees.
But to follow up on her question, how is it that other communities are able to pay better wages? They must have similar resource streams than what Get apparently is offering.
And I'm not honestly sure that that's the case. I would have to look at that. I think that it is also community by community and has to do with cost of living. So, for example, in the Los Angeles area, it's much more expensive to live there than it is in Bakersfield or than it is in Fresno or Stockton. So you really can't say just because one particular area pays higher wages that that is equivalent in our area.
What do you say to those people who are now looking at service stopping at midnight tonight? They rely on it to get to their jobs, to get to school, to get to places that they need to. What do you guys say now that negotiations look like they will be stopped?
We are very aware of what this is doing to our customers. We've had a number of calls. I wish there was something that I could say to them. It is very unfortunate. It is our hope that the strike will be brief and that we will be able to provide service to them very quickly. We will be providing service to our Get a Lift customers who have severe medical needs. We provide transportation for dialysis and chemotherapy patients, and they are our first priority. They need our services really in order to live. We have made an offer that any employee who chooses to come to work will be put to work. If we have a number of employees who do that, we would then look at if there's any service that we can provide. But that's really on a day-to-day basis. We would encourage our customers to look at our website, getbus.org, our Facebook and our Twitter pages. We will have regular updates in those locations.
So that's what I was going to ask you about, because your press release says something about the level of service will depend on the number of employees reporting to work. Do you have any indication of how many of these employees will come to work in spite of the strike being called?
At this point in time, we do not believe very many will come to work on Tuesday. What we did was we distributed a survey asking them what their intentions were, and so that we would be able to plan, and very few of those were returned. So we believe that on Tuesday we will probably be only providing service to our medically fragile customers. And really, it's a wait and see. If the strike goes for any amount of time, then again, employees are encouraged to come to work at any time.
Is there any option that you could bring in contracted drivers? Is there any other option you guys have aside from just not providing service?
Training for a public transit driver takes at least 6 weeks. Clearly, they're driving a very large vehicle, and the safety of a number of people depend on their driving ability. So we really could not, unless it appeared that the strike was going to go for quite some time, we really would not be able to get staff trained that quickly. And in fact, the majority of the staff who will be transporting our medically fragile are supervisors who and dispatchers who previously worked as a driver and are experienced.
Gina, for those who have like prepaid cards, is there going to be any refunds at this point for customers?
We have discussed it. At this point, we have not made a decision. Clearly, if the strike lasts a very short time, we probably would not. If it goes on, we probably will make arrangements.
If I understand correctly, the negotiations were on again Friday, but they had been off before that. How long had they been off?
Just a few days.
And who's on Get's negotiating team?
Karen King, our CEO, Kendra Cheers, operations manager, Chris James, maintenance manager, Stephen Woods, deputy CEO, and Jeannie Hill, HR manager.
Have you gotten any calls from passengers about this, and if so, what are they saying?
Well, we've gotten a number of calls. Our passengers, our customers are very worried. Most of our customers are transit dependent. They don't have a car. They're not commuters who have a car sitting there and they're choosing not to use it. They truly have no other way to get to work and to school. So this is very devastating for them. I think a lot of people don't realize how important public transit and Get are to our economy. Even though someone doesn't ride the bus, they may have employees who ride the bus. They certainly have people who are providing services for them, people who work in stores, people who do all kinds of jobs in the community depend on us to get to work. And so this is going to be devastating for our customers and for our community.
Gina, just a little housekeeping. Remind me the number of drivers Get has at this point.
The union represents a total of 257 employees. 216 of those are drivers, and 41 are mechanics and servicers.
Thank you.
And how long have you guys been negotiating?
Since January 2014.
When's the last time they ever had a strike?
The last time was in 1980.
Do we have any numbers on that of how long it took?
It lasted from August to October.
Was service really shut down during that time, other than the medical?
You know, I wasn't here, but I believe so.
As far as for the medical, how many, I guess, buses or vans will be actually on the road? Do we know that?
I don't know that for sure. I believe 6 to 9 on weekdays. We have a large number of medically fragile customers, and frankly, we are worried about providing service to them.
So they will probably be having some type of delays as well, since there's a large amount and you're only going to have 6 or...
We're going to try not to, and we are working with the dialysis centers, and we will be providing service, by the way, 7 days a week for our medically fragile, because particularly those who are getting dialysis often go in on weekends. So we are working to group those passengers together, because the Get a Lift units obviously carry several customers. So we will be working to provide service in groups for those people.
Customers that applies to?
I don't have that number right now.
Hundreds or dozens? Do you have an estimate?
You know what? If you want to let me leave for a couple of minutes, I might be able to get that number for you.
Well, if anyone has any other questions, I don't want to interrupt.
Let me go ahead because I think everybody wants that, and they should know right after. We have about 60 patients. We have about 60 customers who need regular services, who are medically fragile.
And is it in basically throughout Kern County? Is it like, you guys service a large area?
We actually service metropolitan Bakersfield. So those customers are within the metropolitan Bakersfield area. And yes, they are all over town.
So at this point, things are just stuck. You guys continued. You want to negotiate. Union says no right now. So you've reached an impasse. And like you said before, just a wait and see.
That's exactly right. We are ready to go back to the table at any time for any length of time. It's really in the union's court at this point. Yes.
Given that you receive revenue from a number of different sources, are there any agencies that you had to report this action to?
I don't believe so. I can get that information for you, but I don't believe so.
Last week when I was asking about this, talked to a board member about this, about the strike authorization vote, he had no idea that it had happened. Has everyone on the board been informed that this strike is impending?
Yes, everyone on the board has been, all of our board members have been informed, yes. The strike authorization actually, it was not announced until a very short time ago.
Is that appropriate?
I really can't comment on whether it's appropriate. The union is required to give notice. They are not required to give notice until shortly before. GET officials were negotiating in good faith when the union notified us that they were going to strike. Is that it?
Anything else, Gina, you want us to know?
I don't think so. I will absolutely keep you updated if anything new happens. I suspect you will give me frequent calls or will be hanging around our place.
You recognize what we do. And of course, you will provide updates on your website as well.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be providing updates as we have them. I don't know where they're planning to pick it. If I can help you out, we are not going to have staff at the transit centers other than security staff. Oh, you know what? One thing that I didn't say, now that you've taken everything down, but it really isn't for me anyway. You may want to check with Kern Regional Transit. As you know, we provide service in metropolitan Bakersfield. Kern Regional Transit provides service in the outlying areas, but a lot of their customers come into Bakersfield on KRT, and then they get on a Get bus. We've provided them with notices. They're letting their customers know. And recently, we provided a bay in the transit center for them. I believe their drivers are all union, and they are not going to they're not going to cross the picket line. So I'm not sure where they are going to be letting customers off. And again, I think this adversely affects them because I don't know if their customers are even going to try to come into Bakersfield. But if you want that angle on the story, you probably need to contact them and find out what they have planned. So, okay.
Thanks, Gina.